What's going on, guys? So in today's edition of Sasuke Shinden, the Teacher Star Pupil, we're going to be wrapping up the story. And for those of you guys who have been with me as we've been covering this series, I highly appreciate it. This one took a bit longer than the other novel videos simply for the fact that there was a lot of stuff to cover in this light novel. You had a lot of wholesome moments between Boruto and Sasuke. You also had moments with Sasuke and Sarada. There was a lot of stuff to go over here. You got to see some Sasuke Uchiha greatness in the prologue where you save Konoha. So there's a lot of stuff that happened in this. Now the epilogue, in my opinion, is probably the most important because even though Naruto himself does not directly show up in the epilogue, Naruto's presence and the decisions that he's made were so big that I really felt like this was the perfect way to end off this playlist. So if you stumbled across this video by accident, you have no idea what Sasuke Shinden, the Teacher Star Pupil is, I highly recommend going to the homepage of the YouTube channel, scrolling down to the Naruto novel section, and looking at the playlist that is titled Sasuke Shinden, the Teacher Star Pupil. That way you'll get your answer on where in the timeline this takes place, what happened before this, and etc. Because after a certain point, just being blunt with you, having to recap at the very beginning of every single video, the people that are following along with it, I get a ton of comments and DMs from people saying that, hey, it takes too long to get into the novel portion because you recap. If they didn't get caught up, that's on them. That's kind of the stance that I'm going to take moving forward after a certain number of videos. So that's just going to be the formula going forward. So getting right into it, because this dragged on longer than I thought it would. So getting right into it, what I like about this scene right here is that for the epilogue, we not only see Sasuke get his name and public image cleaned up a little bit by the character Lily, but we also have a moment where she's reflecting and she's thanking Boruto and Team 7 without actually saying their names, because if you'll recall, she wasn't supposed to even contract them for this mission to begin with. And if she directly drops her name, she can get Boruto and Team 7 into a lot of trouble. But she looks over into the camera and she has a moment where she essentially says, thank you for not letting me kill myself. And she gets the opportunity to kind of tell her side of the story. And this is where you see a lot of Naruto's influence as Hokage. And I really feel like this is where we really get to see Naruto's Hokage really get to shine. So even though he isn't physically in this chapter and he doesn't have any dialogue in this chapter, what we saw from Lily is directly stated by the narrator to be something that Naruto himself set up. So essentially the village council, so people like Shikamaru as well as people like the two elders who advised Tsunade when Tsunade was Hokage, all of them came to the conclusion that, like, hey, we don't need to allow Lily to get on television because if she gets on TV, she has a huge following. We know that she was a terrorist. We know that she was trying to attack Konoha. We know that she has huge disdain for Konoha. We don't need to give her this platform because if she gets on there and she says something too extreme, it's going to put us in a bad situation. This purple moon religion, they're too radically extreme. We need to work with the hidden mist village. We need to do something about this. And what Naruto does is Naruto, he heard Lily's story. He saw Sasuke's report. He spoke with Sasuke. Naruto gathers all of his information and Naruto decides to allow Lily to go on to the broadcast television, tell her side of the story. And the reason why he does this is he wants people to see that while Lily did act against Konoha, while Lily herself was actively moving to discredit the Hokage and bring down his standing, which is a bit of a reminder, this isn't the first time something like this is to have confirmed to have happened in the Naruto world, because we know from Ukyo Kodachi's writings in the Boruto manga that the Car organization did hire people and have outer members inside the Land of Fire that were trying to get Naruto as well as the feudal lord of the Land of Fire removed. Naruto has taken the stance that people need to see what she was doing. They need to see that she's sorry for it. They need to see that she's changed. And they need to see that I've forgiven her and that we need to forgive her in order to move past it. And that goes back to what Naruto was getting at when it comes to the whole cycle of hatred and his response to it, which was essentially he wanted to create that world where there's open dialogue that can potentially stop any type of future conflicts that are going to pop up between the various ninja villages, or in this case, people that feel wronged by the five great nations. And I think that that is probably Naruto's biggest moment as Hokage right here. I'll put this probably in the top 5 just based on the fact that he has to work with Chojuro, but he offers a bit of an olive branch here, and he starts using Lily as a way to have conversations with the extremists in the island that's off from the Mist Village in the Land of Water. They have huge issues with Chojuro, and Naruto's using her as a way to kind of extend the olive branch and get them to work with Chojuro, as well as to stop the extremist views towards Konoha. Essentially, Naruto's also being the Mizukage at this point too. We're just gonna call it for how it is. So with the scene and the context finally being set, what I'm gonna do now is read some of the passages from the light novel. Then I'm gonna come back to you guys with my thoughts, and it's here I'm gonna begin quoting. Sitting on the sofa, Lily wore jeans and a simple, unbleached shirt, rather than one of her usual frilly, ribbon-laden dresses. The hair on her head was her own close crop cut, which allowed a full view of the piercings in her ears. The overall effect was a neat chicness, and it was an entirely different look from the idol Himeno Lily that so many people were accustomed to seeing. The plan failed because ninjas of Konoha, they interfered, but those same ninjas, they saved me from trying to kill myself in a moment of total despair. I asked for this interview because I wanted to express my gratitude to them, and it seems that because people have gotten the wrong idea about Sasuke-kun, and I wanted to make that clear about what actually happened. There was no mention of the fact that the ringleader behind all this had come out of the Purple Moon. This too was the Hokage's work. He had no intention of rejecting the entire Purple Moon community. He wanted to deepen their mutual understanding. For the Purple Moon followers to maintain their religion moving forward, they would need to leave behind their exclusionary dogma, and they would need to change in order to work with the outside world. The Hokage was hoping and betting that Lily would help him build that bridge, and her testimony had indeed been crucial in arresting the remainder of the extremist group before they could do any harm to Konoha. I guess the people of the Purple Moon Island have accepted what happened, and they did so surprisingly smoothly, Mitsuki said, looking up at the large screen. It seems this was really the work of an out-of-control extremist group. It looks like not everyone on the Purple Moon Island hates the Land of Fire. I hope we can coexist somehow. Guess we'll just have to leave that to the Hokage and the Mizukage, huh? Sarada said. She glanced at her watch. Ah, yikes! If we don't get going, Master Konohamaru is going to get out of there before we do, Sarada said. And quote, and what I like right here is that this transitions over to essentially a very wholesome scene where you have Boruto and he's stepping in at the last minute when Konohamaru and Sasuke have talked, and Konohamaru takes note of the fact that Sasuke during his time with Team 7 appears to have softened up a little bit, and even Sasuke says that being able to impart his wisdom and speak with his student Boruto and train Sarada one-on-one, it's given him a new appreciation, and being able to pass on the knowledge he's acquired to the next generation was something that he valued more than he expected. So you get to see a bit of reflection from Sasuke, and you also have a moment where Boruto's like, hey, I didn't learn from you as much as I wanted to. And this comes after Boruto's already had one-on-one moments where Sasuke's kind of talked to him and, you know, mentally tried to make him appreciate how skilled he was. Sasuke's taking some one-on-one time with them, but Boruto also had to share him with Sarada and Mitsuki, and he really had to share him with Sarada because of the additional training that Sasuke gave to Sarada, but that's because Sarada was further along in her own individual training. And you get this moment where Boruto doesn't acknowledge what Sasuke was trying to teach him, that ninja tools are that, just tools. Boruto doesn't acknowledge that, but he does say, when you get back to the Hidden Leaf Village, when you get back from your mission that you're going on, I would really like it if you would train me more so one-on-one here. And this is very important because we're seeing that there's a bit of a growth between the characters of Boruto and Sasuke, because Sasuke is in a situation where Boruto knows him well enough to where Boruto's starting to finish some of his own sentences. So I thought that that was kind of cool to see that. I also thought that you had a very wholesome moment where Sasuke, as he's talking to Sarada and he's saying her goodbyes to her, two things happen. The first thing, Sasuke is wiping the breadcrumbs from Sarada's mouth because she was eating some sweets. And then the other thing is you get this moment where Sarada trolls Sasuke and says that Sakura's lipstick is on Sasuke's cheek. Sakura doesn't wear lipstick, and Sasuke was getting very flustered in that scene. So that was kind of funny to see that right there. And I also want to close out with this scene right here. So essentially, as Sasuke's walking out to go on the mission that just got handed down to him. Sasuke has a moment where he looks over at Konoha and he says, take care of this team. And what I like about that is that you see just how much Team 7 has imprinted themselves on a Sasuke and how much Sasuke trusts Konohamaru to look after his daughter as well as his own students. So I thought that was kind of nice to kind of have a bookend ribbon right there. So my question to you guys is, how do you guys feel about the fact that Naruto was willing to go against the orders of the people on the Jonin Council and the Hokage Advisory Council to give Lily that platform? And how you guys feel about the fact that not only did you have Naruto trying to make amends with the Purple Moon religion, but you also had Sasuke openly admitting that he got attached to the members of Team 7. Let me know down in the comment section below, but as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.